Well, this is going to be the last spring garden video you're going to be seeing on this channel until at least March or April. So, we mean a little bit of a spring garden drought as we go into the fall garden season. I planted that all yesterday, so I figured I'd just do a review as to how well the season did. I know I already did a video similar to this, but like it was more of a compilation rather than what I did back in 2022. Anyways, let's go into the video. Alright, so I want to start off by talking about what happened early in the season. Well, the early season could have been a lot better. I will rank the early season I'll give it a 50 out of 100. Now, the reason I'm giving it such a low score is because of how dry it was. We're talking going from around late May, going into like mid to late June. It was just the definition of dry around here. We got very little rain until happened to be that one late night thunderstorm on my birthday, and then everything from there turned around, and the early season could have been a lot better. A lot of things didn't make it. I'll give you a couple examples. About 5/6 of the corn up there, we had a lot of corn blooming. I'd say just about 80% of the seeds we planted bloomed, right? But then unfortunately, the unfortunality of the weather had to hit us, and we got little to no corn sprout. We got like 12. Another plant that was hit very heavily in the garden were some of the newly planted ones that, like the cucumbers. They had a very short lifespan, and so did a lot of the other plants. We didn't want to use up precious water during the early portion of the season, just in case the summer would be a repeat of 2022 summer. But that summer, at least despite being in an extreme drought, we still managed to make it through that and still had a successful garden, which is because we managed to maintain fair water balance. Because when it rained that summer, you got like 2 weeks worth of rain in one single storm, and then it would stop raining for a couple weeks, and then you get another 2 weeks worth of rain. But by the time we hit September, it was all good though. Now we go on to the mid-season. We're talking about going from around late June, going likely into early August is what I consider to be the mid-season. This is when the garden is in swing. It's starting to produce the first harvest. Going to the middle part, like the direct middle, that's when you notice, like, you start here, ground zero, right? Slowly increase, right? This is like you get your first harvest, right at the bottom. Then by the time you reach like August 1st here, it just skyrockets. And then it starts to like flatline once we get closer to the end of the middle part of the season. But then we have another spike sometime in August. Now I'll give this part of the season the benefit of the doubt. I'll give it a 73 out of 100. Now the reason I'm not giving it a good score is because all of a sudden there was a burst of rain for this part of the season. This part of the season could have been a whole lot more productive if it wasn't for the fact that rain decided it was a little bit too cool to not exist. So it existed. And I mean, a little bit of rain couldn't hurt anyone, right? A week's worth of rain in a week, right? That's what it first looked like the summer would look like. But then in July, things happened to go downhill. We started getting random pop-up storms that would sometimes bring an inch of rain. We held a 9-day streak at one point during the summer for getting at least a quarter of an inch of rain every day, and a 4-day streak of an inch of rain, and even a 2-day streak of 2 inches of rain. The most fateful day of the season was definitely, I believe it was like around July 15th or 16th. That was when we got a big group of storms that would come through. We got like 4 inches of rain that day, actually probably closer to 6, and there was a lot of devastating flash floods over here. Flashback about a week before that, and then we got another 4 inches of rain because of passing by thunderstorms. We had one tornado warning this summer, which was the first since a long time ago, and then we had another one in September. We'll get into that in just a minute though. The garden could have performed a lot better, but unfortunately a lot of the plants, just like in the 2021 season, suffered. I actually somewhat consider this season, the rainy season, to actually be somewhat worse than 2021. Despite us getting 8 inches of rain in 2 hours that season, it happened at once and then it didn't really happen again. This season, on the other hand, everything happened slowly and painfully, gradually causing a decrease and then a gradual decline in the amount of plants as we had as a whole. Now this is the part of the season that's going to carry the score, the end season. I'll rank this one a solid 96 out of 100. We get somewhere around like August 15th, and the rain decides, you know what, I'm going to be a little bit nice for the rest of the gardening season. I'm gonna level out a little bit. Like, see? Level out. What it's going to do is just gonna stop producing that much rain, and it's gonna start producing a week's worth of rain in a week. There will be some weeks where we didn't even get any rain, but when we did get rain, it'll be massive bursts on top of bursts. But then once we got into September, for whatever reason, we have 2 severe weather seasons up here. They're not anything bad, but like, you get the April thunderstorm or 2, then May, you start to see that increase. June is horrible, then July, and then it just goes downhill. Then once you reach September, peaks again. Now the reason we do that over here is because passing by frontal systems, I'm not going to get too deep into that sort of stuff, but they can give away a tornado or 2 around here. And we had a tornado warning for 25 minutes in late September. Nothing came out of that one either. Although that group of storms did end up producing an EF1 tornado on the other side of the state, that was nowhere near us, fortunately. And I'll say one thing's for sure at that end of the gardening season, is that the rain was the perfect amount for some good productivity. And on top of getting good rainfall and not a whole lot of winds, the end of the season happened to have a massive burst in productivity going into mid-September when the garden finally died out. Now, no more spring gardening videos for a while. It's quite the bittersweet ending of the 2023 season, which was the season that I covered the most. And yeah, even though last season was viewed the most, this season was the one I put the most effort into. And I hope you enjoyed the gardening season as a whole as we begin our ramp up into the fall gardening season with a hydroponics system in place, ready to grow. Anyways, I will catch every single one of you guys that are watching if you subscribe with the bell on. In the next one, the video on the screen is literally my entire podcast with gardening videos. It's not really a podcast you see on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or something like that. It's something you'd see, just a normal video. Anyways, I'm out, subscribe.